Yes, it was.
Did you have any law enforcement experience prior to coming to the LAPD in July 2009?
No, I did not.
As of May 21, 2016, what was your job?
Can you repeat the date?
May 21st, 2016.
I was a training officer.
And is that a P3?
Correct.
And as a training officer, would you consider a training officer?
Correct.
And for how long a period of time have you been a training officer as of May 21, 2016?
Approximately, I believe, 4 months.
And who was the first officer you trained once you became a training officer at the LAPD?
I don't recall.
When did you start training Officer Academy?
I don't recall the exact month.
Do you have an approximate?
If the incident was in May, then it's going to be within 2 months of May, before or after.
So are you suggesting that you may not have started training Officer Academy until 2 months after the May 21, 2016 incident, so you wasn't there?
No, I'm not.
Was it 2 months or less from the time you started training Officer Academy before the May 21, 2016 incident?
Yes, so I have a probationer for 2 months. So maybe it could have been the second month I had him or the first month I had him.
But you don't recall, as you said yesterday, how long you have been training Officer Academy as of the May 21st, 2016.
Correct.
What does Central Division include?
It encompassed downtown Los Angeles.
In May of 2016, what shift were you on?
I was working nights.
And what would the night shift entail? What was the time from the day?
It is approximately 6:45 p.m. to 6:45 a.m.
And how many days a week did you work? A shift?
Usually 3 days a week.
Typically, what was the range of the number of weeks that were working on your shift in May 2016?
All right, I don't recall.
I mean, are we talking less than 5, more than 10, more than 25?
It would be at least 5 units. How high over that, I wouldn't know that. Every night is different. The city pulls some different divisions if there's special events going on, so it's constantly changing.
Okay. But it's usually at least 5 and maybe somewhere between 5 and 10 if there's not a special event. Would that be a fair estimate?
Correct.
What was the process for checking out equipment in May 2016 after roll call?
We would walk to the window and give them our name and serial number, and they would present us with equipment for the trip.
And what equipment were you given in May 2016 after roll call?
I don't recall.
You don't recall any of the equipment you checked out in May 2016 after roll call?
I don't remember that specific day that I checked out equipment. I can tell you what I typically check out, if that's what you like.
All right, let's start there.
I usually check out a police vehicle, a taser, a less lethal beanbag shotgun, and a regular shotgun.
Anything else? body worn video equipment?
I was not.
Have you ever been assigned body worn video equipment?
Yes, I have.
When?
I don't remember the specific date.
What is your best estimate?
If I had to guess, it would probably be June of 2016.
Why do you think it was June of 2016 that you first were assigned to body worn video equipment?
Because that's the time frame that I remember having to use it. It was new to me. I never used body worn before.
When did the LAPD start issuing body worn equipment for Central Division?
I don't know that date.
When approximately?
I don't know. I couldn't give you a date.
Can you name any other officer that did not have body worn equipment that was on your shift at any time between November 2015 and June 2016, other than you?
I cannot.
Have you had more than one body worn video equipment?
Body worn camera, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
I have had two. One in Central Division, and now a new one at Southwest Division where I currently am. The camera stays at their respective divisions.
While you were at Central Division, did you ever get assigned more than one body worn video camera?
Not to my knowledge.
So to the best of your knowledge, you had the same body worn video camera throughout the time that you were at Central Division, is that correct?
Correct.
Do you have a recollection of at any time while you were at Central Division, your body worn video camera not working so you couldn't turn it on during the incident?
I do not recall that.
What tools were available to you in May of 2016 for investigating calls, answering and investigating calls?
Can you specify what you mean by tools?
Well, did you have a notebook, for example?
Yes, we carry field officers' notebooks.
And did you have your own field officer notebook?
Yes.
Can you describe what your field officer notebook looked like in May of 2016?
It's a small, just paper pad that we keep in our pockets to write on.
And do you carry a pencil or a pen with it so that you can take them out during the call and take notes?
I do.
What do you do with your notebooks once you have filled them?
You can turn them into the kit room and they can store them.
Is that what you have done?
I have my same officer's field officer's notebook in my locker.
Have you started?
No, I've had several different ones, but I usually keep them in my locker.
So, for the field officer's notebook that you had in May of 2016, that would be in your locker?
It should be, yes.
How many field officer notebooks have you filled since you've been a police officer?
Not many, probably less than 5.
And do you recall roughly how many pages are in each field officer notebook?
No, I don't recall.
Did you have access to dark?
I don't recall what hours they worked at Central Division.
And what did DART stand for?
I don't know the specific acronym, but I know it's the domestic violence card.
She doesn't know.
Did you also have access to reports, types of reports, incident reports, various forms, diagrams, things of that nature in case you.
Yes, I did.
And where were those kept when you were on a ship? I'm talking about May 2016.
I usually keep extra spare reports in my bag, and I also keep them in my vest.
So when you answered calls in May of 2016, you had reports material in your vest as you answered calls? Is that correct?
Yes.
It's a transition given report. It's a multiple page document. I'm just asking if she recognizes this document.
Yes, I do.
Okay. When is the last time you reviewed this document?
I don't know what this is about. Let's see.
About a week ago.
Mhm. And what were the circumstances under which you reviewed this document?
Holy crap.
For this testimony.
Now, I asked you some questions about the body-worn video. Are you aware of anyone, any other officer being assigned your body-worn video under your serial number?
I'm not aware.
Is there any chance that you could be mistaken about when you were assigned body-worn video?
No, there's not.
And why do you say that?
Because everything is recorded and documented on evidence.com under my serial number.
Wow.
So if a supervisor wanted to enter the database under my serial number, they could watch my videos and see the specific date and time my videos started to record and when the date of my last video was to this date.
All right, and did you go back and look to see what date you recorded?
I did.
And what was the date that you were assigned body-worn video equipment in the Central Division?
So the first day that I took out body worn video was June 16th of 2016.
I'm going to show you this second page of what has been marked as deposition exhibit number 1. It has you summoned to attend and give testimony at deposition and also to produce certain documents. Do you recall this issue?
I'm gonna smoke now. If you don't like smoking, it's a good time to like.
There you go. The documents to be produced. The first of those was all video footage recorded by you relating to any incident at 849 South Broadway, Los Angeles, California 90014 on May 21, 2016, including all video footage relating to incident number and as the number on May 21, 2016. Did you conduct any type of search or any kind of effort to see if you had any video footage on May 21, 2016 relating to this incident?
The answer is no.
I'm going to ask you, did anyone at the LAPD at any point, supervisors, watch commanders, anyone connected with the LAPD, ever asked you whether you had any video footage of the incident of May 21, 2016?
No.
I'm going to ask you to take a look at number 2 here. It says all documents and or communications, including without limitation any notes, memoranda, reports, filings, and or summaries relating to any incident at 849 South Broadway, Los Angeles, California 90014 on May 21, 2016. Are you aware of any documents or communications that would fit this description?
No.
Now, Officer Sons, you've had training on domestic violence, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell me what that consists of?
We received training in the police academy.
Anywhere else? Did you have any other type of domestic violence training other than the police academy?
Other than my experience in the field dealing with domestic violence, no, not that I can recall.
And as of May of 2016, would you agree that you
Yeah.
had
Oh my God,
answered
look at you.
over 100
I gotta wash
domestic
that.
violence calls?
Your mouth is not good. Come on.
About, yeah, I go to, yes, I go to a lot of domestic calls every day.
And you consider yourself to be a specialist. in
bad
domestic
mom, I
violence
need a
intervention?
bed.
I don't understand the title specialist. I don't consider myself a specialist.
In May of 2016, what was the police officer supposed to do when the victim of a domestic violence would not respond to questions or cooperate in pursuing charges after a call was placed in the police officer's line?
If an individual is uncooperative, we are to check the location to make sure that the suspect is in hiding for the safety of the potential victim and offer a business card
Oh, no.
to speak to us later.
In May of 2016, was it your understanding that if you saw evidence of injury or property damage or disarray, that you would file a report even if the victim was not cooperating?
Correct.
Pursuant was marked as exhibit number 8, and this is something that was dated November 24, 2018, to all department personnel from the chief of police, domestic violence supplemental report. And it says, the domestic violence supplemental report form of the member has been revised to provide a more precise picture of the history and needs of the victim for the purpose of investigating the crime of domestic violence. Was this a document that you recall receiving at some point?
Yes.
Okay. And do you understand why this was supplemented in November 24, 2014?
I do not.
I'm going to ask you, obviously, take a look at what is marked as exhibit number 9, and it's called Los Angeles Police Department Domestic Violence Supplemental Report. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Okay. And what is your understanding of what this document is?
The supplemental document that we add to a police report for domestic violence.
Okay. And is this one of the reports that you would carry in your vest when you answered calls? I'm going to ask you to take a look, if you can, at the very left-hand column, where it has a number of different categories here that has victim shaking, unresponsive, crying, scared, angry, fearful, and of why these are included on this supplemental domestic violence report.
So identify somebody's emotional state during an investigation.
And this is specifically with respect to domestic violence, correct?
Correct.
What does a cop know, literally? No offense to cops, but like, really?
On the right-hand side, you'll notice that there are some categories that include location vandalized / ransacked, personal property damage, furniture disarray, broken. What is your understanding of why those categories are included in there for making notations for domestic violence supplementary report?
To identify the crime scene at the time of the incident.
And was it your understanding that these items that you have on here may be significant in assisting in determining whether there was in fact domestic violence and improving the case?
Correct.
And I direct your attention specifically to the evidence section. And it indicates witnesses present during domestic violence, statements taken, evidence collected, photos taken. What is your understanding of the significance of this collecting this information?
It's significant to tell a story about what happened at the domestic violence incident.
Okay. And then if we can scroll down a little bit further to additional questions, there's a series of those. Has suspect threatened.
What are they trying to say? Oh, shit. Fire.
Things of that nature. What is your understanding of why you're supposed to ask those questions?
Give you a background on the relationship, an idea of what the victim and the suspect have been doing.
Okay. Before I answer the question, I was just saying, you did not fill out that supplemental report when you responded on May 21, 2016 to the Broadway call, correct, with Amber Heard?
Criteria.
And the question I asked was, did you fill out one of those forms?
No, I did not. I did not meet her interview. We had her interview.
I'm going to ask you to take a look at what has been marked as exhibit number 10, and if I can direct your attention to the top, it says domestic violence standards of review, and it has field note provider domestic violence laws, LAPD form number 18.30.02. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
It has case preparation that says, note the complainant's emotional and physical condition. You see that?
Yes, I do.
And then ensure all evidence is gathered and preserved, e.g. bloody clothing, damaged homes, property. You see that?
Yes, I do.
And it also says ensure photographs are taken of injuries or lack of injury to complainant and accused. And then suggest about the day or two after. What is your understanding of the reasons for collecting this evidence?
Because these are fruits of a crime.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Because these are fruits of a crime. If there is a crime, this is important to prove that a crime was committed.
And what do you mean by fruits of a crime?
Why is this
If we're talking domestic violence,
officer wearing a mask?
the location would be evidence. So if there's, a house is a ransacked, then that should be noted in the report. That would be considered evidence.
All right, then we're gonna go to the second page here, and it has ensure photographs are taken of scene and damaged property, including broken furniture, holes in wall, damaged phones, home card, evidence of alcohol consumption, general disarray. You see that?
Yes, I do.
And what do you understand about that would be?
Same thing, proof of a crime.
Okay. And then it also says canvas location and interview all witnesses.
I'm sure it does. But what is going on with that mask?
Neighbors and local law enforcement. You see that?
Yes, I do.
And what would be the reason for canvassing the location and interviewing all witnesses?
That would be further evidence.
Right? And what is your understanding of what fresh complaint means?
I couldn't tell you.
And then if we go down a little bit further, it also has complainant questions and has questions such as length and nature of relationship. But also
Day 9.
incidents of domestic violence reported and unreported,
Amber's
and what form of violence
DID.
has taken. You see that?
Yes, I do.
And what is your
but she doesn't have PTSD.
Because it gives us an idea and background of their relationship.
And then we go to the next page. And we have a little bit more here. You have
Get some airflow.
and that says how long the incident has been occurring, any logs or diaries, and alcohol or substance abuse. What is your understanding of why those would be relevant?
Again, because it gives us background on what we're dealing with, what type of relationship this is.
And they help with the proof of the crime?
Correct.
Okay. And then we have identify the person who saw the complaint after the incident. And it says in parentheses, fresh complaint witness. So I'm kind of guessing that must be the definition. But why would it be important to interview or identify the person who first saw the complaint after the incident?
They probably have the best recollection.
And also has identified the person with whom the complainant first spoke about the incident. press, oh, thank goodness. What is your understanding why that would be important?
Same thing, the best recollection.
And then we have what have may first seen or heard. Why would that be important?
Because it would prove to us that there was an incident if there was other people with the same story as the victim.
Okay. And then we also have the witness observed how physical injury occurred. Why would that be important?
Because that would tell us that there was a crime, that somebody got injured.
And then we have statements by the complainant and or accused after the incident. Why would that be important?
Because we're getting our story from the complainant, so what they say is everything with the crime.
All right, let's look at 12 for a moment. This is exhibit number 12. It's an office of the chief of police.
So was Amber abused?
It's a domestic violence victims memo, and it says purpose, the department is legislatively mandated to provide specific information to victims of domestic violence crimes. And then they go in to describe that. What is your understanding of, well, let me go a little bit further because I'm not trying to, I'm going to try to hold through this a little bit quicker. So it says to mitigate this issue, the department has begun to use the victim information notification.
I'm trying to get out, Mama.
Go. Accomplish not only the domestic violence issue, requirements under section 13.711 of the California Penal Code, but also provide information regarding the crime. Did you have a copy of that pamphlet? Was that something that was given to you?
Yes.
Okay. And was that something that you typically provided then, as it says, you showed it to victims of domestic violence?
Yes.
What is your understanding of why you were to provide the pamphlet?
Oh.
You understand the question?
Yes, because it gives resources to the victim, domestic violence resources, like
She doesn't even know her job.
And, phone numbers to provide help.
And the research was been marked as exhibit number 11. Do you recognize this document?
So I called the
Yes,
cops.
I do. This is the line.
I called the cops, and then Amber's reputation was ruined. Per Amber Heard, her own words. That's what she said. My credibility is ruined. He said, Johnny Depp said, why did you do that in the audio? And she goes, I did not. And then she said, in the same sentence, you made me. It was your fault. Like, tried to say he did it.
At this point, Your Honor, Ms. Heard's counsel is asking to move into evidence and publish to the jury Defendant's Exhibit 730, and Mr. Depp has no objection.
So Io called the cops that day. That's her friend. She said she didn't tell Io to call the cops, but the cops were called. So this is an incident report. I have a mess on my beauty station. I don't use it. I use my bureau, the one that has the mirror on the back.
Specifically, May 21st, 2016. Can you recognize this document?
But I'll let you see it. See, it's a mess.
And explain to me what it is.
It's a summary of our radio call.
All right, and how is this recorded?
By dispatch.
And how is it communicated to you?
A computer in our car.
So
I will probably do my hair tomorrow.
I'm going to ask you to take a look at the very beginning of this. It starts out, it obviously has an incident number. Is this your understanding of the incident recall
We're right up the store.
for the
We're
report
not gonna go to work tonight.
249 South?
Okay, I'm streaming live, so I love you though.
I'll be back.
Yes.
Okay, go to the store. I love you.
It starts out with 521, 16, 20, 30, 58, which is 8:30, 58, or almost 8:31. And it says incident initiated by such and such. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And the next thing that's communicated is Penthouse 3, PR received a call from the victim's friend Amber, assaulted by boyfriend. PR refused to give further. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Now, when you were out on the road, did you see that right away, or did you have to look this up later when it was you that was going to respond?
We review the calls as we're driving to the call.
Then we have at 521, 2037, which is 837, the duplicate call. You see that?
I do.
All right, let's go down to 521, number 16. Officer Science, can you go where I just highlighted here? And it's 2057, which would be what time?
8:57.
All right, and it has STAT:AS. What does that mean?
Okay.
So would that be when you, an officer, hadn't arrived at 849 South Broadway?
Correct.
And then it has, the next entry is 521, 2016. It has 21, 22, 57. So that would be 922.
Correct.
Okay. And it says, go ahead, Al, I'll have you read this. What does it say after that?
Met with Vic, check Loke, verified husband left Loke. Vic advised verbal
Okay, go ahead and the next, go ahead and go to the next page, or next line. Go ahead.
dispute and received to give any further info. Issued business card.
Who wrote those two lines?
I don't recall.
And what did that mean to you, those two lines that you just read?
It's a disposition of what happened at the call.
Okay, can you tell me what that means? Can you just tell me in real person's words what those words are?
Yeah, that we met with the victim. We checked the location. The husband wasn't there. And the victim advised us that she just had an argument and that she wasn't going to give us any further information. And because we didn't identify a crime, we issued her a business card, letting her know that she could reach out to us later if she changed her mind and wanted to cooperate.
Okay, and at what point did you close this incident?
Whatever it says on the screen, let's see, 9/22/57.
And what incident closed in
That we cleared from the location, we're complete, done.
Okay. Now, if we could go to page stamp number 12. And do you recognize this document?
I do, it's a summary of all of our calls from that day.
All right, and I believe you testified earlier that you reviewed this document in preparation for this deposition, is that correct?
Yes, I did, correct.
Okay. And if we can go down to right here, that's 922, correct, at the end of that?
Correct.
All right. And it says 242 domestic violence. What is that?
It's a code for domestic violence.
And what is the 242 do?
That's battery.
You told me once I had just asked you. about
Battery seems to be the word of the week
that you were at
or month.
the penthouse on May 21st, 2016, for 30 to 60 minutes. Do you recall me asking that?
Yes, I do.
And do you recall testifying that that's what you thought was the time that you and Officer Hadley spent at the Kent House on May 21st, 2016?
Yes, I recall.
Okay. And in fact, it was significantly less, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and in fact, it was, you entered from the elevator at 9:04 p.m. and went back into the elevator at 9:19 for 15 minutes, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you've seen the video clips of you getting on the elevator and getting off, and that's where these timestamps come from. Now, once you got off the elevator at 9:04 p.m., the first thing you did was listen for some noise, correct?
Correct.
All right, and then you went around and checked out the outdoor courtyard to see if anyone was outside. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
And you saw that there was a woman in the gym who was not related to the incident. Do you recall that?
Correct.
How did you know the woman was not related to the incident?
Because she seemed unfazed. She was just working out.
Did you speak with her?
No, I didn't.
Do you recall what she looked like?
I don't.
Now, did you take any notes during the entire 15 minutes when you got off the elevator to when you got back on the
I
elevator?
did not.
Did Officer Hamilton know?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Did you take pictures or record anything?
I did not.
So after you saw the woman in the gym and looked at the phone, you went back to the hallway, and you met with what you called a white male who was generic. Do you recall using that term?
They asked me to describe him, yes.
And you said generic, correct? And what do you mean by generic?
He didn't have any identifying, I don't know, nothing that I could remember. I just remember a male white. Nothing out of the ordinary.
What color was his hair?
I don't even remember now.
Did he have facial hair, beard, or mustache?
I don't remember.
Do you recall how tall he was, roughly?
I don't remember anything about him.
Did you ask him his name?
I don't recall.
Now, the generic white male talked to you, do you recall that?
Yes, I did.
And when you first saw Amber Heard, she was crying, red-eyed, and was not making eye contact with you, correct?
Correct.
And you asked her a few questions, and it was quite clear that she did not want to speak to this witness. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, Amber Heard was visibly upset, so she would look down, sometimes she would look up at you when she spoke, goes back and forth, correct?
Correct.
What was Amber Heard wearing that night?
I don't recall.
What hairstyle did Amber Heard have that night?
I don't recall.
Now, when was the first time you were asked to provide details of the events of May 21, 2016?
I don't recall.
Do you recall providing your testimony in a deposition in July of 2016?
Correct.
Is that the first time you were asked to provide any details of what your recollection was of the events of May 21, 2016?
Correct.
And that was roughly 2 months later, is that correct?
Correct.
And how many shifts had you worked in that 2-month period?
I'm not aware. I don't know.
How many calls had you answered in those 2 months?
I don't know that number.
How many of those calls were domestic violence calls in those 2 months?
I don't know that number.
And if you saw any signs of injury on Amber Heard, or even just damage to property, would you have been duty bound to make a report?
Correct.
Now, your recollection is that there was no damage to the flat. You searched the entire flat and there was no damage, broken glass, or anything out of the ordinary. Would you agree?
Correct.
Did you see anything, did you observe anything out of the ordinary during this particular call that you answered at the Depp house on May 29, 2016?
I did not.
When you left that call, when you got back into that elevator, when you recalled what you were thinking?
I remember being impressed by the penthouse, how big and beautiful it was, yes.
But anything else?
No, nothing.
And just so we can stay on that for a minute, you had not heard of Amber Heard at the time of this report, right, on May 21st, 2016?
Correct.
But you did know that Johnny Depp was an actor, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't know that that was Johnny Depp's penthouse when you reported that, correct?
Correct.
But you, as you just said, were impressed with the penthouse. It would be fair to say you thought probably somebody with some wealth lived there.
Correct.
Can you bring up plaintiff's exhibit number 23? Officer Science, do you recognize this elevator at all?
Yes, I do.
What do you call it?
That's the elevator from the location.
Alex, I'm going to ask you to go to 211940. And as you're moving there, Officer Science, I'm going to ask you to take a look at this and see if you can tell me what you are saying to Officer Patty in this video. That's you, is that correct?
Correct.
And Officer Patty, you recognize? Officer Science, can you tell what you were saying to Officer Patty?
I cannot.
Does it look like you might have said at the beginning that was crazy?
I can't tell what I was saying.
Would you agree, though, that you were quite animated in your discussion with Officer Patty?
No, I wouldn't agree.
How would you describe your view?
Comfortably talking to my partner.
I'm going to ask you to take a look at plaintiff's exhibit number 17. And while Alex is bringing that up, so your best recollection is that you saw no injuries on Amber Heard, correct?
Correct.
And your best recollection is you saw no property damage, nothing in disarray, nothing out of the ordinary, correct?
Correct.
And if you had seen either of those, you would have had filed a report, correct?
Correct.
Officer Science, let me ask you this question. So we've established that you got off the elevator on the 10th house level at 9:04 p.m. Do you recall that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Can you recognize the person here?
Yes, I did. Amber Heard.
Okay. And do you see any signs of injury on Amber Heard's face in this picture?
I do not.
Is it your testimony that you do not perceive this cheek to be reflecting an injury on Amber Heard?
Correct. No injury.
I'm going to ask you to take a look at this section here above the eyelid, and now I'm going to ask you to take a look at that eyelid. Is it your perception that that eyelid does not reflect an injury? I'm sorry, what was your answer?
Correct. No injury.
Okay, and then up above on the forehead level, where the veins is, and it looks like there's a couple of bumps, is it your perception that does not reflect an injury?
Correct.
Officer Science, I'm going to ask you to look at what has been marked as, this is exhibit number 18, close to the time that you already covered out, correct? Please describe for me what you see in this photograph.
A striped carpet with discoloration on the right hand side of the photo, and what I perceive as, I don't know if that's a reflection, some sort of mark.
Now, you believed and testified, in fact, that you consider the hallways to be very well lit that night, correct?
Correct.
Did you see this, these things?
No, not that I recall.
Should you agree that those are reddish stains on the right side?
Correct.
What does it look like from your experience?
Like a stain, like from a liquid.
Red wine, possibly?
It could be, yes.
Okay. But you don't recall seeing that in the hallway after you got out the elevator?
I do not.
And you did not investigate this for taking pictures or recording anything about it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now let's go to number 19. Do you recognize what is depicted in exhibit number 19?
Yes, it's our business card.
And it has 1A1 on the front of it. What is that?
That's our unit designation.
And then it has Haddon and a badge number. Is that his badge number?
That is the serial number.
Okay. Serial number, thank you. And it has your name, and is that your serial number?
Correct.
Who wrote this on the card?
I don't recall.
Either you or Officer Haddon?
Correct.
You recognize your handwriting?
I can't tell from this.
Now, I think you indicated when you were looking at the incident recall and the CAD summary that a business card had been left. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
And why did you do the business card?
I advised Amber Heard that she could contact us at any time if she changed her mind and decided that she wanted to speak to us and cooperate.
All right. Let's go to number 20. Do you recognize this? What's the difference in this picture?
Yes, I do. It's the back of the business card.
All right. And it says 5/21/2016, and the time is 9:16 p.m. Is that the time that the car in there is written?
Correct.
Okay. And do you recognize the handwriting on this side?
It looks like my handwriting.
Okay. Now it says radio call of dispute. Do you see that?
I do.
Why didn't you put verbal dispute?
It didn't. Verbal dispute, it's the same thing to me.
And you have refused report on here, correct?
Correct.
Could you just read this next part of the note on here?
Sure, advice can call at later time if change his mind, because she was uncooperative and didn't want to speak to us.
Okay. Now, why did you say if change his mind?
Because I was giving her the opportunity to have a resource if she changed her mind.
But if Amber Heard had no injuries and there was no evidence of any type of physical property issues, disarray, breakage, etc., then why would it matter if she changed her mind?
It's a courtesy that I choose to give people when I go to calls.
Now, if Amber Heard had called you later, you had already closed this out and had not written a report and had taken no notes, correct?
Correct.
But if I'm understanding your earlier testimony, that if you saw evidence of injury, or if you saw injury evidence of property damage, even if the victim did not cooperate, you would write a report, correct?
Correct.
And we'll go to number 21. Officer Science, this is just a picture. Do you recognize you and Officer Haddon here?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Officer Science, is the timestamp on here of 9:19 p.m., 49 p.m., does that comport with your recollection of when you left?
I don't recall what time I left. I'm just going based on the video that is in front of me.
Okay, what, you have any reason to believe that's incorrect?
I don't.
Oftentimes, I'm gonna ask you to take a look at exhibit number 24. Will you recognize the person in this photo?
Yes, Amber Heard.
Do you perceive there to be an injury or evidence of injury on Amber's face in this photo?
No, I do not.
Uh, what is your perception of the redness on the cheek and the eyelid and above the eyebrow?
It's consistent with her crying. She's fair skinned. Her face is flushed.
I'm going to ask you to look at what we marked as exhibit number 25. Do you recognize this as Amber Heard?
Yes, I do.
Do you see a red mark on Amber Heard's cheek and above her eyelid and above her eyebrow in this picture?
Her face looks flushed. Yes, redness.
Okay. And what is your perception of what that is caused by?
Like I said earlier, it's consistent with what I see in her crying.
You don't think it's consistent with a cell phone being thrown at her?
Correct. It does not look like an injury caused from a cell phone.
Okay. Then why not?
Because it's consistent with somebody crying. Her face is flushed.
This was taken on May 21st. I'm asking you to look at what this is exhibit 26. Please, do you recognize this as Amber Heard?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I was just asking, do you see any redness on Amber Heard's cheek and above her eyelid and above those?
I do.
And what is your perception of what the cause of those red lines?
Consistent with her crying. Her face is flushed.
And is it fair to say that you do not believe that this reflects an injury?
Correct.
And would it also be fair to say that you would not consider it sufficient
Why would her
to
lawyers ask?
investigate further? Whether it's an injury?
There is nothing that would stop me from investigating. I would continue to ask her questions, and it's up to the victim if they want to cooperate.
But just so that we're clear here, even if the victim doesn't cooperate, if you see signs of injury, you still, you testify to this, you feel yourself duty on to write the report, correct?
Yes.
But in your mind, you don't perceive this as to be reflective of an injury, is that correct?
Correct.
And I'm going to ask you to take a look at exhibit number 27. Again, do you recognize this as Amber Heard?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And do you see redness on the cheek of Amber Heard on this one?
Yes, I do.
And then you testified on a number of these other pictures and on this one as well that this is consistent with crime. Do you see any redness on Amber's other cheek?
Yes, I do.
Is it the same or similar to the redness on the cheek, on the right cheek?
Based on this photo, it looks like one cheek is redder than the other.
And then you also don't see any swelling with that?
Correct.
I'm going to ask you to take a look at what has been marked as exhibit number 28. Do you recognize this as Amber Heard?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And do you see redness on the right cheek and above the eye?
Yes, I do.
And is it your perception that this reflects any type of, or could reflect any type of injury?
No,
Why not?
because my perception is it was consistent with her crime.
I would say to number 29. I'm going to ask you some questions. Do you recognize this as Amber Heard?
Yes,
And do you see any redness in the right cheek and above the eyelid?
yes,
Is it your perception that these are not indicative of injury?
yes,
And what is your reasoning?
consistent with her crime.
Let's take this one down. Let's go to number 3. Now, you testified earlier that you thoroughly searched the penthouse. Did you recall that testimony?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And Josh Drew, the gentleman that you called a generic male, actually took you through and escorted you through the penthouse and series of penthouses, correct?
Correct.
Officer Science, did you or did you not thoroughly search the penthouses on May 21st, 2016?
We did search the penthouse.
And you used the term thoroughly, did you not?
I don't recall.
Do you feel like you conducted a thorough search of the penthouses that night?
So I did. I did a sweep of the location for the suspect.
And we were talking about a sweep of the location. Did you go through every room?
Yes, every room.
Okay. And was there anyone escorting you through those rooms?
Yes, the same male that we were met with at the beginning of the call.
That you called the generic male, right?
Correct.
Now, you also testified a little earlier that this was a very nice series of penthouses, right?
Yes.
Did you interview the woman that was sitting with Amber Heard?
I attempted to. All parties were uncooperative.
What did you say to the woman that was with Ms. Heard?
I don't recall the exact word, but I introduced myself to everyone and asked if they seen what happened or know what happened, and they all refused to speak to me.
Did you ask for their names?
I recall, yes, I did ask their names. Nobody would give me their names.
Now, that's a little unusual, isn't it?
No, it's not. A lot of people don't like us.
Well, is it that they don't like you, or is it potentially that they don't want to, with a domestic violence situation, are reluctant to press charges?
Every situation is different. Based on my training experience where I work, it's usually that people do not like us.
Do you have a recollection of what the woman who was with Amber Heard looks like?
No recollection.
You know what color hair she had?
I have zero recollection.
So you don't recall how old she was, how tall she was, what her hairstyle was, what she was wearing, anything about her.
Zero recollection.
But somehow you're sure you tried to interview her and she refused to answer questions.
Yes, it's common practice. I try to interview everyone during my investigation.
So did you pull out your notebook at any time while you were in the penthouse?
I did not. I had nothing to write. No one would speak to me.
Well, how did you know that when you started asking questions that they weren't going to give an answer?
Because they just looked at me.
But wouldn't you pull out your notebook first and then ask the questions? And what they've done the answers as they're given it to you?
No, I don't put anything in my hands for officer safety issues until I'm sure that I have something to learn.
I'm sorry, officer, can you repeat your answer?
I don't put anything in my hands for officer safety reasons. If I'm not sure I'm gonna write, I keep my hands free. When I ask the questions, I got no answers, therefore I didn't take out any notebooks or pens.
Did you have any reason to fear for your safety at the time that you were talking to Amber Heard and the woman with her?
I always fear for my safety. A potential suspect could have been in the house, so yes, my guard was not down if that's what you're asking.
What did you do first? Did you look at throughout the house to ensure that the person wasn't there, or did you ask the questions first and then look at the house?
I attempted to ask questions first. I can't just go into a house and start checking it without asking questions.
So what questions did you ask first?
I don't recall specific questions.
Do you recall any of your questions?
I don't.
Do you recall any of the answers you were given?
I don't recall.
Now, we went through the domestic violence supplemental report and some of the guidelines for officers on domestic violence. Do you recall the crime scene and under the items reflected location ransacked, location vandalized, furniture in disarray, personal property damage. Do you remember those being items as a checklist for crime scene for domestic violence?
As they pertain to domestic violence reports, yes, I do.
Now, did you ever speak with the two officers who answered the second call from the courthouse that night?
I did not.
Did you ever communicate in any manner with the two officers who answered the second call from the courthouse?
I did not.
Did you communicate to a third party to the second set of officers related to the domestic violence call in the 10 days?
I did not.
Did you know the two officers who responded to this call?
Did not.
Do you know who they are to this day?
I did not.
Have you ever spoken to the other two officers about the responding to this call on May 21st, 2016?
I have not.
Have you ever spoken with anyone else about your response and their response to this call on May 21st, 2016?
I have not.
And just so everybody's aware, up until now, you've been listening to questioning from Ms. Heard's counsel. At this point, I believe we're going to shift over to questioning from Mr. Depp's counsel.
I want you to focus on the date of the incident that we've been talking about during this deposition, and that is May 21st, 2016. I'll refer to that as the date of the incident. Do you understand what I mean when I say date of the incident?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So as of the date of the incident, for how long had you been a training officer?
Since, I believe, the end of November of 2015.
So between 6 to 8 months?
Yes.
Prior to the date of the incident, for how long had you been a training officer?
4 to 6 months.
Okay. And as of the date of the incident, approximately how many incidents of domestic violence had you come across?
I couldn't tell you. I believe you said hundreds.
Yes, that's how I understood it from testimony of the previous depositions of these. So it's in the hundreds?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you and you indicated that you proceeded to the incident at Eastern Columbia building due to what you heard from dispatch, is that correct?
Correct.
And do you recall as you sit here today what you were told from dispatch that led you to the Eastern Columbia building on the date of the incident?
I don't have an independent recollection.
Okay. As you sit here today, do you recall that it had something to do with a dispute at that location?
Correct.
And when you first arrived at the scene of the incident, what did you first do on entering the building?
We met with a security guard in the lobby who escorted us to the elevator.
Did you ask that security guard any questions about the building? Sorry, Dan, did you ask that security guard any questions?
Not that I recall.
Did the security guard escort you up to the penthouse?
They gave us access through the elevator. I do not believe that they came up to the penthouse with us. I believe they just accessed the elevator.
Okay. And when you arrived at the penthouse and exited the elevator, Was it just you and your partner, Mr. Haddon? Officer Haddon?
Yes.
And what did you do next?
We tried to listen for any kind of sounds of domestic violence. We checked the hallways, we didn't observe anyone. We went out to the courtyard, didn't observe anyone. And based on what I was just reminded of, there was a woman in the gym who didn't seem involved, was working out, looked fine, nothing out of the ordinary. And then we responded to a door in the hallway, and I knocked and was met by a male.
Okay. Up until that point in time, from exiting the elevator to knocking on that door, did you see anything that indicated a crime?
I did not.
Up until the point where you knocked on that door, did you see or hear or witness anything indicating that there had been a domestic violence perpetrated?
I did not.
Up until you knocked on that door, did you see anything which you would have considered out of the ordinary?
I did not.
And I guess what I'm asking is, walking from the elevator to the gym and then to the door that you knocked on, was that you in the hallway?
Yes, I was in the hallway.
Okay. And during that time period, from exiting the elevator through to knocking on the door, was there anything in the hallway that was unusual to you?
Not that I observed, no.
Did you see any venues on the floor?
Not that I recall.
Did you see any vandalism in that area?
No, I did not.
Did you see any broken glass in that area?
I did not.
Okay. And upon knocking on the door, what happened next?
A male opened the door. I don't remember the exact questions and conversation we had, but I remember asking if they called for help, and he said that it was the neighbor and that she was inside of his house apartment with his girlfriend. And I asked him if they could step out, and he told me to wait, and he shut the door. And we waited for them to exit. I don't remember how much time passed by, and they came out, and that's when we were met with his girlfriend and who I know now is Miss Heard in the hallway.
And up until that point in time, did you hear anything that led you to believe that a crime had been committed?
I did not.
Up until that point in time, did you see anything that made you believe that a crime had been committed?
I did not.
Up until that point in time, did you hear anything that made you believe that there had been an act of domestic violence there?
I did not.
Up until that point in time, did you see anything that made you believe that there had been an act of domestic violence there?
I did not.
Okay. So you indicated that after you knocked on the door, you spoke with a gentleman, is that correct?
Correct.
And you previously testified to someone as a generic white male. Is that the same person?
Yes.
So your previous testimony, you were referring to the generic white male. That's the person who opened the door when you first knocked on it, correct?
Yes, there was only one male at the location besides my partner.
And there's only one male. And I think that's for the entire time you're at the location. In the hall, you met the generic white male, Ms. Heard, and the generic white male opened. Is that right?
Yes.
And it was just those three folks?
Correct.
And you were there with your partner, Officer Haddon?
Correct.
And how, in the hallway, how far were you standing from Ms. Heard?
It was closed probably like 2 to 5 feet.
And at that time, did you notice any injuries on her?
I did not.
Okay. Were you looking to see if she had any injuries at that time?
Yes, I was.
And we were looking to see if Ms. Hurd had any injuries, and you determined that she did not. Is that accurate?
Correct.
And was the lighting good enough in the hallways to make that determination?
Yes, the hallways was well lit.
And at the time, were you wearing any sort of corrective lenses?
I was not.
Although you were not wearing corrective lenses, were you prescribed corrective lenses at the time?
No, I have never worn glasses. I'm not prescribed. I have good vision.
Okay. And at that time, did you have good vision?
Yes, I did.
At the time you were observing Ms. Hurd, did you have good vision?
Yes, I did.
And did you observe the injury at that time?
I did not.
What did you ask Ms. Hurd at that time, if anything?
I don't have an independent recollection. Again, it's been so long. I don't remember specific questions.
Okay. Well, let me just back up a little bit. During the time period when you left the elevator and when Ms. Hurd came onto the hallway, at any time did the generic white male tell you that there had been an act of domestic violence?
No, he did not.
Did he tell you anything that made you think there may have been an act of domestic violence?
No, he did not.
Did he tell you anything that made you believe that a crime may have been committed?
No, he did not.
And during that time period, did you ask him what happened or what's happening?
Yes, I did
Stop.
ask him, and he just
Stop.
refused to give me any information.
No. Come here. Munchie. Come here.
Okay. So now, fast forward to what we were talking about with respect to you in the hallway with a generic white male Ms. Hurd and a generic white male girlfriend. After you observed her and saw no sign of injury, what did you do next?
I advised her that we would be conducting a protective sweep just to make sure that there was no one else in the house. And she agreed if her neighbor, the male, could accompany us with the protective sweep.
Okay. Up until that point in time, could you ask Ms. Hurd what happened?
Yes, I did.
And what was her response?
No response. She was uncooperative.
And Officer Stein, at that time, was Ms. Hurd cooperative?
Ms. Hurd was uncooperative.
Thank you. And by uncooperative, does that mean that when you asked her a question, she wouldn't say a word, and she'd say something that made you think she was not cooperative?
She wouldn't say anything.
So just to be clear, you would ask questions and she wouldn't say anything?
Correct.
And what did you do at that point?
After the protective sweep, I asked her again if she wanted to talk to me, if anything happened. Again, I don't remember the specific questions that I asked her, but I asked her questions to establish if there was some sort of crime, who was involved, and again, she wouldn't give me any information. I attempted to ask her friend, the other woman in the room. I even asked the males to wait in the hallway so it could just be us women in there so we could talk privately. Maybe she felt more comfortable that way. Still, they denied that there was any crime. They wouldn't answer any specific questions. So I wrote a business card. I advised her, she changed her mind, that she could call us at any time and we would respond and help her out.
So backing up a bit to the time you were in the hallway with the three of them, and you testified that Ms. Heard was uncooperative. And then you indicated you did a sweep. I want to start with, from the point of time in the hallway where she was uncooperative, transitioning to the sweep. How did that occur? Did you ask her if you could look at the penthouses? How did you go from standing in the hallway to conducting a sweep?
I don't recall.
Now, before you left the penthouses, did you ask if you could enter the penthouses?
Yes, I did.
And what was the response?
I can't remember if she gave me a response or nodded her head. I can't remember.
From what you observed or heard from Ms. Heard, you took it that she was permitting you to enter the penthouses and look around. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay. Was it more than one penthouse?
There was two.
And this term sweep you've been using, is that a technical police officer term? Yes. What do you mean by conducting a sweep?
It's called a protective sweep, and we do so to make sure that there's no other individuals that may be victims that are hurt inside of the location, or suspects hiding, concealing themselves from officers that would attack the victim after we left the location. So we're going to verify that any potential suspects are gone from the location or their victim safety.
Thank you. And you conducted a protective sweep of two penthouses, correct?
Correct.
What was your understanding of who owned or lived in the first penthouse that you performed a protective sweep on?
It was my understanding that Amber Heard, that it was her home. Again, the gentleman directed us. That's what he came with us. So we wouldn't get lost.
I see. And during your protective sweep during the first time of the first penthouse, did anybody accompany you during the entire sweep?
Yes, the only male that was there besides my partner.
Okay. And your partner conducted the sweep with you?
Correct.
Okay. And as to the protective sweep of the first penthouse, did you go into every room of the penthouse?
To my knowledge, yes.
And was your knowledge based on the generic white male leading you around?
Correct.
Was it your understanding that your protective sweep included you looking in every room in the penthouse?
Correct.
During the protective sweep of the first penthouse, did you see anything that led you to believe that a crime had been committed?
I did not.
During the protective sweep of the first penthouse, did you hear anything that made you think the crime had been committed?
I did not.
During the first protective sweep, did you see anything that made you think that an act of domestic violence had occurred?
I did not.
During the protective sweep of the first penthouse, did you hear or see anything? Did you hear or see anything that made you believe an act of domestic violence had occurred?
I did not.
Okay. Upon your completion of the protective sweep of the first penthouse, up until that point in time, from you exiting the elevator up until that point in time, did you hear or see anything that made you believe that a crime had been committed?
I did not.
Up until that point in time, did you hear or see anything that made you think an act of domestic violence had occurred?
I did not.
Now, I want to ask you, you testified to you viewing Ms. Heard and not seeing any signs of injury. Did you view her again after that first viewing?
During the interviews and throughout the entire investigation, I'm constantly scanning her and watching. So if I see any other observations that would indicate any injury or domestic violence,
And did you see anything like that?
I did not.
And did you see anything like that during the entire time period when you were on that call? And do you believe that you had enough time viewing Ms. Heard to determine whether or not she had sustained any injury?
Yes, I did.
And did you determine that she sustained any injury?
I determined that she did not sustain any injuries.
So other than the conversation you had with her in the hallway when you first got there, did you have any other conversations with Ms. Heard?
I did. Inside of the loft, or penthouse, sorry.
Okay, was that before or after the detective sweep?
I believe both before and after. I attempted.
Okay, how many separate conversations did you have with Ms. Heard?
I don't recall.
There was at least the one in the hallway, and there was one before or after the detective sweep, correct? I'm sorry, what's my answer?
Correct.
Okay. And during the second conversation you had with her, after the one in the hallway, how close were you to her?
The same 2 to 5 feet. So it's right in front of me.
You were close enough to get a good view to determine whether or not she had any injury?
Yes, I was.
And during that second conversation, did you determine whether or not she had any injury?
I determined that she did not have any injuries.
At any point in time during the incident, during the date of the incident, did she complain of any injury?
She did not.
During the protective sweep of the penthouse, did you see anything in disarray?
I did not.
Now, you indicated, let me ask you, did you do a protective sweep of the second penthouse?
Yes, I did.
Did the generic white male accompany you on that sweep as well?
Yes, he did.
What was your understanding of who owned or resided in that second penthouse?
I had no idea.
Did you, during that second protective sweep, did you walk through every room in that penthouse?
From my understanding, yes, we did.
Okay. And during that second protective sweep, did you see anything that you would say was in disarray?
I did not.
During that second protective sweep, did you see anything that made you believe there had been a crime committed?
I did not.
During that second protective sweep, did you hear anything that made you think a crime had been committed?
I did not.
During the protective sweep of the second penthouse, did you see anything that made you believe an act of domestic violence had occurred?
I did not.
During the protective sweep of the
Quiet.
I did not.
Go, get out. Out. Get out. Probably lost.
I responded to where Amber Heard was. And I again tried to see if I could get any information from her. I was unsuccessful, and then I issued her the business card and let her know that she could call us back if she wanted to talk.
Did she answer any of your questions?
No, she did not.
At any point in time during the entirety of the incident, did Ms. Heard answer any of your questions?
No, she did not.
During the entire time of the incident, did Ms. Heard complain of any injury?
No, she did not.
During the entirety of your time at the incident, did anybody say anything that made you believe a crime had been committed?
No, they did not.
During the entirety of the time you were at the incident, did anybody say anything that made you believe an act of domestic violence had occurred?
No, they did not.
During the entirety of your time at the incident, did you see anything that made you believe a crime had occurred?
I did not.
During the entirety of your time at the incident, did you hear anything that made you believe a crime had been committed?
I did not.
During the entirety of your time at the incident, did you hear or see anything that made you believe an act of domestic violence had occurred?
I did not.
Had you heard of anybody by the name of Ms. Heard at that time?
Never.
Amber Heard.
No, I've never heard of Amber Heard before that time.
Okay. Did you recognize any of the people that you encountered during the incident?
I did not.
My hair looks orange.
At the time of the incident, did you have any reason to believe that anybody you encountered at the incident was famous?
I did not.
And during the entire time that you were at the penthouses during the incident, did you have any reason to believe that Mr. Depp was affiliated or involved in the incident?
I did not.
Madam Clerk, can you repeat my last question? Mark?
Question, during the entire time you were at the penthouses during the incident, did you witness any bruises on Ms. Heard? And there was not a response.
I did not observe any injuries on this leg.
Did you observe any swelling on Ms. Heard's face?
I did not.
Doc? Come on.
Did you observe anything that led you to
Are you
believe
not so silly, me?
that she was a victim of domestic violence?
I did not.
Alex, if you can pull up Exhibit 2.
So is this gonna be exhibit 57?
Yeah. Officer Stein, do you recall having your deposition taken on July 18, 2016 in connection with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall giving testimony in connection with that deposition under oath? Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
And did you give accurate and true testimony at that time?
Yes.
And you understood you were under oath, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Alex, if you can go to page 26. Officer Stein, do you recall testifying as to you recall testifying that, and I'm talking about today, you recall just testifying that you can't recall what Ms. Hurd said to you, if anything.
I do not have an independent recollection, but I can go off what I've seen here on my screen.
Your Honor, we're at 5 o'clock. It looks like we have about 18 minutes left. Do you want to?
Let's wrap it up.
And you agree with me that your memory of the day of the incident was fresher on July 18, 2016 than it is today?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And the incident was May 21st, 2016. This deposition was taken July 18, 2016. How long after the incident was this deposition taken?
A few months.
Okay. And if I could have control. A little delayed out of the kinetic picture, that's just delayed.
This is Alex speaking. Yeah, I'm afraid I can't help that. I'm sorry, Mr. Prescott.
Officer signs, I'm gonna start here. Do you see my cursor?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm gonna start here at line 3. The question is, okay, so we'll get back to that. Before you did a sweep or a check for the rest of the penthouse, did you have an opportunity to speak with Ms. Hurd when you were in the apartment? Answer, yes, I did. Okay, question, okay, can you tell us about that conversation? Answer, sure. I asked her what happened. Opening question. She said nothing, and she continued to cry. I said, who do you live with? Who do you live here with? She shook her head as if she did not want to answer. I asked her, are you hurt? Do you need an ambulance? And she shook her head and went no. At that point, I asked her if she would mind if I checked her apartment. And that's when she said no. Officer, does this refresh your recollection of the conversation you had with Ms. Hurd at that time?
Yes, it does.
And your testimony that I just read, is that true and accurate?
Yes, it is.
During the entire time period you were at the penthouses on May 21st, 2016, did Ms. Hurd say that she had been assaulted in any way by anybody?
No, she did not.
During your protective sweep of the 2 penthouses, did you do anything that you would characterize as vandalism?
I did not.
During the entire time you were at the penthouses on May 21st, 2016, Were you looking for any probable cause to believe that a crime had been committed?
Yes, I was.
And what did you determine?
It determined there was no crime.
What did you determine with respect to an assessment of probable cause?
There was no probable cause of any sort of crime.
Thank you. During the entire time you were at the penthouses on May 21st, 2016, were you wearing any body-worn video cameras?
I was not.
Are you certain of that?
I am certain
And how is it that you are certain of that?
because I didn't start using body worn video until June of 2016.
And that's after the date of the incident, correct?
Correct.
Oh, so if you would mind putting Exhibit 9 back up? Officer Klein, you were shown this document earlier. What is this document?
It is a domestic violence supplemental report.
And do you recall counsel asked you about the victim column and the crime scene column?
Yes, I do recall.
Do you also see that there's a suspect column in the middle?
Yes.
Okay. And is there any difference between the victim column and the suspect column with respect to the box terms?
No difference.
Did you fill out one of these forms in connection with your investigation on May 21st, 2016?
I did not,
Why not?
because it was determined there was no crime.
And Officer Stein, just one more question with respect to that Exhibit 9. I know it's not up, but the fact that you did not fill out that form, is that consistent with your training?
Yes, it is. I wouldn't fill that out because there was no crime. It's not called for.
When you testified during the London trial, at the time, did you believe your testimony was accurate?
Yes, I do.
At all times, you testified under oath in any legal proceedings, trial, deposition. You always give accurate and truthful testimony.
Yes, I do.
And do you have any reason to not give accurate and truthful testimony in connection with this deposition?
I do not.
Officer Stein, do you see these two pictures?
Yes, I do.
Do you recognize the person in the picture?
Yes, Amber Heard. Yes.
So there's a difference in these two pictures, between these two pictures.
Yes, I do. The lighting of the photos.
Okay. Do you see any difference in connection with, the redness on the cheeks of the shirt as between these two pictures?
Yes, I do. The left side is, the photo's brighter.
Okay. And other than that, would you agree with me that these two pictures are the same? In other words, that her face, uh, the position of her face, everything about her in these pictures is identical except for the differences that you indicated.
Yes.
Okay. And even though these were the same pictures, do you see any difference with respect to the redness in on the church face with respect to these pictures?
Yes, the photo on the left is brighter, causing the redness on the cheeks to what appears to be brighter or exaggerated.
What does it say with respect to, let's concentrate on the picture on the left. Can you read for me what it says in the little box at the very top on the left? Under add and title, do you see a date and a timestamp?
Yes, I see it.
What's it say? Date and timestamp?
Date is May 21st, 2016. Timestamp is 9:25:12 p.m.
And now let's look at the other picture, exhibit 29, at the same spot. Can you read for me what the timestamp says there?
Yes, it says May 21st, 2016, 9:25:12 p.m.
So both exhibits, both pictures are the same exact timestamp, correct?
Correct.
And even though that's the case, we still believe that there's a difference between the two pictures as you previously described.
Yes, I do.
You're trying to see the report one.
Yes.
We recall counsel asking you questions
Yes.
during their protective sweep of the 2020 sweep. Did you see anything in this array?
No.
Officer, trying, I think you have to look at up until the present, for how long have you been a LA Los Angeles police officer?
I will be going on 12 years.
Officer Science, in connection with your investigation, at the Eastern Columbia building on May 21st, 2016, were you in a rush in any way?
Yes.
With the investigation?
No.
Were you willing to go as far as necessary to determine if a crime had been committed?
Yes.
At any point in time during your investigation on May 21st, 2016 at the penthouses, did Ms. Hurd ask you to file a report?
No.
Did anybody that you spoke with or saw on May 21st, 2016 at the penthouses ask you to file a report?
No.
Did you have any cause to file a report?
No.
And was that determination in line with your training?
Yes.
if you had witnessed anything that led you to believe that an act of domestic violence had occurred, would you have filed a report?
Yes,
And you in fact did not file a report, correct?
yes. Correct.
And if you had witnessed something that led you to believe that an act of domestic violence had occurred, would you have filed a report even if Ms. Hurd had asked you not to?
Yes,
And is that in line with your training?
yes.
Officer Science, you were asking questions.
And just so everybody's on the same page, we have about a minute and a half of questions from Ms. Hurd's counsel at this point.
Got off the elevator in the penthouse and when you got home and how much time you spent at the penthouse level. I approached it in my earlier, but based on the cross-examination, I feel like we need to go back to that. So we're going to ask you to take a look at what is exhibit number 6. And you recognize that you and Officer Haddon in this picture?
Yes.
Okay. And what time does the time stamp on this picture say for the report?
It says 21:04:43.
Okay, that's 9:04:43. Would that be right PM?
Yes.
And you looked at this earlier, I'm going to ask you if this was again the 10 one.
No.
So this one has what time?
21:19:49.
All right, and allowing for your, and Officer Science, you said earlier that you weren't sure whether there were accuracies or inaccuracies in terms of the elevators. But allowing for that there may be any issues at all, would you agree that it still means that you were on and off that elevator in 15 minutes?
Assuming the times are correct, yes.
You asked to look at a number of the pictures that I had shown you earlier that were taken on the night of May 21st, 2016, both before, during, and after the time that you and Officer Patton had reported to to Ms. Hurd's penthouse. Do you recall seeing those again and being asked about them?
Yes.
You were asked by counsel from Mr. Depp to take a look at those again, correct? Okay. And he asked you if you had seen any of those photographs before, and you indicated that you had not, correct?
Correct.
So, other than what was placed in the CAD summary by either you or Officer Haddon, and then also went into the incident, you recall, are you aware of any documentation that either you or Officer Haddon collected relating in any manner to the visit to the penthouse on May 21, 2016?
No.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the testimony for today. Please do not do any outside research and don't talk to anybody about the case. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Okay, thank you.